Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this show from. My name is Denise Belisle, and I'm a serenity expert and positive intelligence specialist. I'm so happy to be here today for It's All Good show. Lucas here for a chat. I have an amazing lady coming up. I'll introduce you to her in a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about why I call this show It's All Good and why I do this show. I've done this show because I wanted to help people that I dare to listen to about different area of their life. So I have people coming here that are photographer. I have people coming here that are coaches. I have people coming here that are wealth strategists. I have people coming here that are doctors. I have people coming here that are math teachers. I've had them all. Like I had a whole array of people that come to my show just because I find them interesting. And I hope that you do too. And in my business life, what I do is I empower professional people, like either empty nesters or soon to be, and also stay at home mom, to really find a way to rock the second half of their life and building an exit strategy so they can shift from crisis and chaos to oasis. Often parents are very selfless. They don't think about themselves. They do everything for the kids. And then once the kids are gone, they're stuck. Like they look at one another and say, so now what? What are we doing with our lives? Initially, it sounds like it's going to be the big powwow and the big party. But in reality, with all the people I've talked to, it's not always like that. There's always that little missing, that lack of being able to give to other people. But what I do is I help people teach them how to give to themselves and how to really plan for their future and how they want to rock their life. And also why it's called It's All Good, because it's my favorite cup. It says it's all good. It might be backward for you, but it's all good. And for me, it's my way of thinking, because that's how I help my clients too. Because if you keep living in the past, being sorry that your kids are gone or feeling sorry about things that happened in the past, even if it's just 5 seconds ago, things you can't change. So all you can do is come back to the moment, to right now, and say it's all good. And same thing for the future. If you only living for the next holiday where you'll see your kids, or the next vacation where you're going to go hang out with the grandkids perhaps, or the next this, but you're not appreciating today, then then you're struggling. You might have anxiety or sadness or depression. But when you come back to today, when you come back at right now, it's all good. So let's talk about my guest. She's Marilyn Robinson, and she's a navigational specialist. And I'm super excited to have her there because she works with people just before I work with them, like a few years before I work with them. So we kind of handing clients, she's handing me clients, because once she's done with them, they're almost ready for me. So let's welcome Marilyn without any further delay. Welcome, Marilyn. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hello, and thanks for having me. I enjoy spending time with you, and we have so much in common. So let's have.
Yes, we hang out a bit with each other, and if you've seen our show, sometime we are on the same Mink Life Motivation show. We
Yes.
work in that with this company also, and that's how I discovered her, and that's how I decided that I would love to have her on my show, because I love what she's doing. So before we get to all that, like, tell me a little bit about yourself, like who you are, and how did you become a life coach?
So, well, it's interesting because in listening to the people that you help, I'm all of those. so,
You take photo, you're a photographer?
yeah.
Awesome.
So it's I hit that 50 mark like you're talking about, and you kind of question, is this all there is?
Mhm.
I had the career, I had the husband, I had the house, I have the kids, and I got a lot done in my first 50 years. So, oh my gosh, I kind of checked off my list. So what's next?
Yeah.
And then I did retire young from high tech at 42, and to stay home with my kids. So I did have my kids still, so I was playing that mother role. But you realize, okay, all your friends are still at work, so who do you play with? you know
Yeah.
and your social world usually is your coworkers.
Yeah.
And so when I left them, it's like, well, I don't see them in the hall, so I don't think to ask them, what are you doing this weekend? Let's get together. So your world definitely changes when you quote retire from your job or leave your job in my case. um, and then I didn't really feel the empty nested part. My husband felt it right away when they left from high school to go to college. Mine wasn't until my youngest graduated college, and I
Mm.
didn't consider myself depressed, but I considered myself very complacent. I was just
Mhm.
like, my life is good. I shouldn't complain. I should be satisfied. This is all there is. And so it wasn't a lot of fun. I was kind
Yeah.
of dull.
Well, you get tired very quickly, I think, when you used to be so busy and then you become complacent and it's like, ah, vacation. And then after a while, it's like, again, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, I'm a little robot going through the motions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not that I didn't work, I was involved in volunteering, and I helped nonprofits, and I had started a direct sales business. So I had things to keep me busy, but that nurturing was gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the life coaching has enabled me. I was doing business coaching, but I started the life coaching part of it in 2020. And in last year, um, my son is my oldest, and he gave me a grandbaby. I have a grandson now.
That's
And it
awesome.
really brought back, listening to my daughter-in-law and going through the motherhood and stuff. It really brought back all that wonderful part of life. It was such a wonderful part of my life. And so I put together a coaching program to help soon to be moms or want to be moms or just recently become moms, help them strategize and really quick start their parenting skills. So
Hmm.
boosting their confidence and having them really define what it is they want, their parenting to be like, how they want to raise their kids and how they want their kids to turn out. And so allows me to get back into that nurturing and sharing a lot of what I learned about raising three kids.
Yeah, because you you've been there, done that, and I think it turned out for your three adult kids now to be good kids, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was very, my husband says, "Oh, we're so lucky. They turned out so well." And I looked at him and I
That
said,
doesn't happen
"What?"
on its own.
I said, "I worked hard to get them there. What are you talking about? I spent a lot of hours on that. Don't be calling it luck."
He's lucky that he had you to do that. I think that's where the luck is. He found a wonderful woman that, you know, that sacrificed her career to take care of her children or his
Yeah,
children or your children's,
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
and that's what happened often in the household, right? Like the woman would take a step back and then decide to stay home and raise the kid because it is something that's super important. Many
yeah,
people don't want their kids to be raised by daycare and
yeah,
like stay in daycare until 6 p.m. when parents are picking them up and only
yeah.
see the kids for the breakfast and the dinner and that's it, right?
Yeah. And it's tough because as much as I communicated with the daycare and made the effort to sync up on what we were teaching the kids, as far as discipline and routine and things like that, she still did things differently than I did. And my kids have memories that they don't enjoy,
Oh,
from daycare,
yeah,
and and so I was like, wow, that's a bummer. I wish I would have thought to ask them, but they were little at the time.
yeah, yeah.
And I did luck out. I put them in private school. We could afford private school, and they could play after school, or they could do their homework, or they had, extracurricular activities they could get involved with once they were in, grade school.
That's good. Oh, hold on. I have a cat here in my face. It tickles. I just couldn't stand it anymore. Uh, that happens when you have a cat. Like I've had two cats and now I have one. And as summer arrives, the hair on his body goes poof.
Yeah.
all
Oh
over
my
the
gosh.
place. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But I
That's
would
my
say
excuse. I'm going to tell everybody, oh, I'm shedding because it's hot.
it's hot. Yeah. But tell me what made you decide? Because it was prior to you. I think you started your program prior to your daughter to give birth, right?
Yeah. So
What made you decide to do that?
actually, I put together, she was pregnant
Okay.
when I started developing the program because, again, I was listening to her and talking with her and sharing, you know, uh, uh, indirectly sharing thoughts. It's a daughter in law, so you got to be a little,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sensitive.
More distance. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she was very sharing in what she was learning and what she was planning on doing. And she's done an amazing job, a wonderful job. And but, from that standpoint, I said, well, I would really like to help, maybe some of the stuff I do will help her, but also, indirectly again, um, but, also help other mothers because
Yeah.
I believe that I had a lot of experience because I lived with my sister while she was raising her kids. So I
Mm-hmm.
got to see her mother infants, and
Yeah.
I babysat a lot for her.
Yeah.
And so I had some experience in that realm. And I think that what when you have the time is when you're either thinking about getting pregnant or you're pregnant and you're doing all of that, getting everything ready and stuff, to take the time to think about, well, how do I want to parent, and
Mm-hmm.
not wait till you're totally, doing everything
Birth.
randomly and spontaneously, and then you get overwhelmed and you're trying to do too much and you can't decide, you can't prioritize, you don't know what to let go, you want to do it all, you want to be super mom, which is the name of my program, Supermom 101. And being a super mom is really deciding what's important
Yeah.
and deciding, prioritizing. Yeah, it's nice to have a clean house, but does it have to be cleaned every week? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I-
Mm-hmm.
if you have a choice, you want to spend time with your kids and, be present with them, or do you want a clean house?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of really, understanding what's important to you, but then what's also important for the development of your children.
Yeah. What's more important, happy kids or a clean house?
Yeah. Well, and and it's always cracked me up because my son, he'd sit down on the couch when he was a teenager and he goes, "Well, I really like it when the house is clean." And I said, "Yeah, and I really appreciate all of you guys doing your chores and helping me have it clean."
Mm-hmm.
It's the family unit, the tribe, if we all pitch in a little, a little hurts less and you still get everything done.
Yeah, and I think it's a thing also to it's not child labor, but to teach the kids early that they can help out and contribute. I remember I was young and we were doing dishes. There's three girls, and we were all doing the dishes. I was maybe drying less items than my sisters, but I would still be drying stuff, with the cloth. We didn't have washer and dryers, right? I was still
Yeah.
drying things up, and we were all contributing, and I was making my bed, and
Yeah.
these are things that you can instill in kids very early that helps around the house.
Yeah, and I remember as a kid, I was, younger than 10, and I would love to wash the dishes because I would get the cups and I'd play like I was a scientist,
Yeah,
putting the
yeah,
soapy
yeah.
water in between, and I got to do it until I broke a glass, and then I was like, "Mom said, 'No more dishwashing for you.'" I was like, "Oh, you took all the fun out of it."
Get me a chemistry set then.
So,
Yeah,
but
for
yeah,
sure.
I'm a firm believer in that, you want to send your kids off able to take care of themselves. So the basics, as soon as they're able, taught them how. I was working full time. I taught them how to load the dish. When you're done eating, scrape your food off, stick the plate in. Here's
Yeah,
how I want you to load it. And then when they, could start chipping in on household chores, we'd have a day of, let's clean house real quick. If we all do our part, we could be done in an hour.
yeah, yeah,
Um, my kids learned how to do their laundry by the age of 10. I taught them how to sort their clothes,
yeah,
and I even bought them separate containers so that they could put, whites in one and colors in the
yeah,
other.
yeah.
And And then my son, when he went away to college as a freshman, he goes into the laundry room at the dorms, and he texts me and he says, "Oh my gosh, mom, thank you for teaching me how to do laundry. These guys are totally wrecking their clothes because they were just taking their bags and dumping it
Dump it
into
all in one load and
shirts
the
and
socks
jeans
and
and
the
dirty socks and everything just all in one load. And he would, he took care of his clothes. He liked polo shirts, and they're not necessarily cheap. And he had a bunch of polo shirts he went off to college with, and because he knew how to do laundry, they lasted him. Didn't have to spend any money on clothes because his polo shirts were still in good shape.
yeah, they last for a long time when you take care of them for sure.
Yep.
And tell me about, you mentioned about that there's parent skills that helps develop confidence and independence. So tell
Yes.
me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think what's going on in the world right now with kids is amazing. I don't I think they're just reacting. I don't know that they're taking any time to think for themselves, think about consequences, think about what's right and wrong. So really being able to raise, helping kids be resilient in the world now and building confidence and that is done by giving them responsibility, by
Yeah.
having them participate in the decision, by having them discuss what the consequences are. I used to always, let them talk through what they want to do. And I said, well, what would you do if this happened? What would you do if this happened? And if nothing else, if they happened, they would be prepared to react. And they wouldn't
Hmm.
be, just spontaneously doing it. They'd say, "Oh, I already know what I'm going to do here." And so my my son, when he went off to college, he goes, "Mom, all those consequences you always, talk to us about." He goes, "None of them ever happened." I said, "Probably because you were aware they could, and you avoided or did things so that they wouldn't, because
Uh-huh.
you were
Uh-huh.
aware that they could."
Yeah.
And so that's just having them be realistic and
Or
know
it's like
about what's
fire drills, right?
yeah,
You practice fire drills. You never want the fire to happen, but
right.
then that skill of fire drills can be used in several situations,
Yeah.
right?
And I swear, every time I take an umbrella, it never rains. If I don't take it, it rains.
You gotta be ready for anything.
Yeah. But, so a lot of it is, the communication with them and the support. We all know what children go through. We were children. We know the bullying that goes on. The bullying is changing. It's internet bullying now, but they still bully you. I mean, there's always the mean girls and the boys that, antagonize you. And so it's being there and helping them work through it and say, well, how do you feel about this? Always get to their feelings. How do you want to respond to this? What do you think's going on in their mind? Why are they doing this?
Hmm.
And do you want to be like that? And, so having those conversations, from the minute, my son was 2 years old. I remember sitting him down on the stairs, someplace quiet, and I told him, I said, "I really, really love you. I love you. Oh my gosh, you'll never know how much a mother loves her child. But your behavior is not making me happy." So, and I would explain what he did that didn't make me happy. And I said, "I don't want you to do that again. And here's a suggestion of how you can handle that or do this." And I mean, at the age of 2, I just started having those conversations
Yeah.
with him. Um, you know, who knows how much he absorbed, but
It
it
builds a habit. It builds a habit that you don't come out of nowhere at 6 o'clock when it does, at 6 o'clock, at 6 years old when it does matter, right? Like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
used to have the sit down conversation. Mommy loves you very much.
right,
But what you've just done here, and then if he's heard that for years, right? Like he's like,
exactly.
oh, here's one of those talk. I didn't do anything. I didn't do what I should have done, right?
And I think it's important to really, have the conversations with them. How was school today? Fine. Okay, don't ask that question. Ask something a little more intriguing, like, "Oh my gosh, what was the worst thing that happened today?" You know, did somebody say something? Did somebody, did you forget something? Did you not do something? What was the worst thing that happened to you today? And then work through it and say, well, what are you going to do differently? Now, my son, he was trying to get, he's in his mind, an A- is an A. You still get 4 points for it. So he had a B+ going into his final on biology his freshman year in high school. And he studied okay, you know, and he came back and he didn't do so well on the test. So he ended up with a B+. And he was bummed because he was shooting for that 4. And I said, well, what do you think went wrong? And he goes, well, I guess I didn't study enough. I said, so what are you going to do next time? He goes, I'm definitely going to pay attention more on how I study for my final, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
that close, you know. So, and then not just end on the bad, but say, what was the thing that made you happiest today? Or
Yeah.
what made you laugh today? Did something happen that you had a good chuckle? And have those kind of conversations with them. Don't ask the typical "How was your day?" That's so boring. You kids go to birthday parties. You know how birthday parties are. There's always a snot in there. There's some kid that's just being a brat. So you can ask, so who was it this time that was a brat today? Or, was everybody on good behavior? Or, tell me some stories, make me laugh about what the kids did. Ask
Mm.
different questions to
So is
get
that what you
different.
do with your clients when you work with them? What would be a process like from somebody that listens to us right now and say, "Oh, I have young kids and I'm exhausted and I'd love to do things better because I'm at the end of my rope at the end of the day." So what is the process? Let's say I'm one of them and then I come to you and then how can you help me?
So I think the first thing is you got to look at that priority list, and you have to step back and say, what made me happy today?
Mm-hmm.
What made me happy today that I want to include in every day or something like it so that I stay energized and such. And what am I doing? How am I spending my time and who is it for? The gift that they'll get is ask those kind of questions. It's like, okay, who am I doing this for? And
Mm-hmm.
am I doing it for them? Did they ask me to do it? Do they appreciate it? Do they even know I'm doing it for them? We do so many things out of our head that we think we should be doing. And in reality, nobody cares. I went back and asked my kids, so what do you remember about me and my parenting skills? And they said, well, I remember you trusted us and you believed in us and you motivated us and you guided us. I said, what? You don't remember all those funny skits I did to wake you up in the morning? I'd come in with a different hat on. No, I don't remember you doing that, Mom. I go, but I had so much fun doing it. But it started their day off with humor and laughter.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that, was so they didn't remember it specifically, but I remember doing it. So so I think from the standpoint, it's the first thing is let's free up some time. So let's quickly go through your day and say, really, do you need to do that? Can you turn it into a routine that takes quick steps that can become a habit? Because we do 80% of everything every day out of habit. It's
Mm-hmm. Of course.
subconsciously done.
Yeah.
It's not
We're a zombie really when you think about it. We're a
so
zombie on two legs, right?
How often do you really think about how you're driving home? You just drive home.
Yeah.
It's all subconscious. So that's the first quick thing to do is really identify some things you can let go or reduce how long it takes or start getting the kids involved in helping. And so freeing up some time. And then that'll give you time to step back and think about, well, what are the characteristics, the skills, the things that you want to instill, the values that you want to share with your children.
So do
And
you
when
work
you,
with your clients to bring out those values, to bring out those things?
yeah.
Like you have
So,
one-on-one with them and then they work through it?
yeah. And the thing is, they have to role model it.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't just say, "Oh, I want my kid to be like this." You have them describe, "Well, what is your kid growing up? What do you want your son to look like as an adult? What do you want your daughter to be when she's an adult?" And
Mm-hmm.
then you think about it. I I have millennial children, and millennials get a bad rap that they all are lazy. None of them know how to work. And that's a bunch of bull. Man, my kids are hard workers. They believe in doing a good job. They
Yeah.
believe in whatever they're doing, they committed to do it, even if it's not that fun. Not all parts of your job are fun. They really knuckle down, and when they switch jobs, which my daughter does more. My son, he's satisfied where he's at, but he's gotten promoted and gotten new different opportunities at Amazon. But she changes jobs because she likes to change jobs. And it's not, and people will hire her back. That's how good she is. They'll
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, well, if you ever want a job, just call us. Just call us." And she goes, "No, that's, I mean, she worked for Deloitte as a consultant, and that's a lot of travel and being gone all the time. And you're gone Monday through Thursday, and then you're back home Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then you're off again." And she got burnt out on it. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's a
yeah.
lot for sure.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the steps. And then there is I have, a balance wheel targeted towards parenting skills, so they can rate themselves to start with
Yeah.
and see where they're at. And then we can identify maybe a specific area they want to start with and develop those skills more thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
Once we've freed up some time, and then we've identified, the bigger picture of what the results of their parenting they want,
Yeah.
you know, and then we can go ahead and do the balance wheel rating, and they can see, oh, okay, I don't really think I'm doing so well in this area. Let's focus on that.
Okay, great, great. That's awesome. Because I mean, you're just the when you think about it, like for them, you're like the perfect grandma, right? Like
Mhm.
the Mary Poppin that comes in and
I
can
know.
help them resolve everything. And I think that's super cool. You should have a little umbrella behind you.
I know.
And
I think it's so great. Mary Poppins is my favorite movie.
yes,
It's
she
a
was
great one.
awesome. She comes
I
in
wish
and
I
she
had her
took order.
magic carpet bag.
Is what?
I wish I had her magic carpet bag.
I know, it's
I could
crazy
take.
the things she
Oh,
did.
okay. Let's take it out of the bag.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
So,
it was the first movie I ever saw as a kid. We went to the drive-in as a family,
oh
and
yeah.
I was so bummed because it was so late. I fell asleep and I didn't see the end of the movie.
Oh, I'm sure you caught up.
Oh yeah, I've seen it so many times since.
So, is there one last tip that you would like to share for these amazing parents that are listening right now?
Well, I think the biggest tip is love your kids. You decided to have kids, and the biggest gift you can give them is love and support. A clean house is nice, but it's not what they'll remember.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They'll remember you being there to hug them when they were sad, to, empathize with them when everybody needs to learn how to deal with the good and the bad. You don't identify the good unless you have the bad to compare it to.
Yeah,
So they need to learn that there is good and bad in life and how to handle it.
yeah, that's
And it
wonderful.
isn't going and shooting your teacher.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And so I know that some people might want to reach you. So let's see how people can reach you. Is you have a website?
Yeah, so the easiest and quickest way is just to go to marilyn-robinson.com, and there's some options there to book time on my calendar, and we can just connect and see if I can be of help and assistance. Maybe in that conversation, I can give you a tip or two that starts you in the right direction.
That's awesome. And you have a gift also for people.
Yeah, I was mentioning it. There's 5 easy steps to take to get back an hour or two a day.
Who would
Um,
want that?
yes, exactly. And
I
it,
might do the
and
downloadable. I could use a few more hours even though I don't have kids.
well, yeah, it's perfect for anybody. Actually, it's not just for adults. You have to accept the fact that you brush your teeth in the morning and at night, if that's the case, and it's habit, and you do it real quickly. And so
Mhm.
anything you can establish as a routine as few steps as possible. Then it turns into a habit and you don't think about doing it anymore. And so it takes less time. If you do it differently every time you do it, guess what? You're wasting time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think routine is the best way to tidy up things. Like for me, I have a before going to bed routine, right?
Yeah.
Which is I have a cup where I take some vitamins before I go to bed, and I have another like a coffee tumbler, that
Mhm.
I can have beside the bed, and I'm sure I won't knock it off because it's closed. So that's why I keep that beside the bed with water. So if I ever want to drink
Yeah.
water when I do, it's like you don't spill the water all over. And then after that, I finish my dishes if there's anything that haven't cleaned, and then I feed the cat, make sure he has a bit of food before going to bed. I clean the litter box, I wash my hands, brush my teeth, go to bed, read my goals or objective I want to achieve, and something to feed my brain before I go to bed with good things, as opposed to get stuck with the things I've done before. And then I turn off the light to go to bed. Right.
Yeah.
And I do
Well,
that pretty much every night. Right.
yeah, and that's really key because getting in the habit for anybody to prepare yourself the night before for the next day
Mm-hmm.
is the best habit.
Yeah.
So for my kids, it was okay, you've got soccer practice tomorrow. Your bag needs to be packed with everything you need in the hallway tonight.
Yeah.
And they used to laugh at me, but when we went on vacation, there were 5 of us, and it's like herding cats. You understand? And so I made them pack the weekend before. And they go, "Why do we have to pack so soon?" Because I know you and you will want to take something that's dirty. And so
Uh-huh.
you have to have time to wash it because you do your laundry.
Yeah.
So here's the list of what you should bring, what you should pack, and pick out your stuff, get it packed in the suitcase, and I would then be less stressed. See, I never told them that. The reason why I had them do that was then I'm not chasing them around. Are you packed? Are you packed? Are you packed? You know?
Yeah.
So I still to this day at least pack 4 or 5 days ahead of schedule just because I don't want to be stressed. It's
Yeah,
stressful
it's
enough just
done. Yeah,
going ahead.
exactly. I mean, then you don't live in the anxiety of, oh, have I forgot something and all that? And what if I forgot this? What if I forgot? No, it's done. The only thing you have to put is your toiletry probably, and that's it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, the thing that you use every day that, you don't have
yeah.
doubles of it, you just put that in the bag last, and that's it.
And I am really bad about, part of the routine is having checklists. So I always had a family packing list for summer vacation, like beach vacations,
Yeah, yeah,
and then a packing list for winter vacations because you take more jackets and stuff. And I just created them and I'd print it off and say, okay, we're going to the beach, so here's the checklist. This is what you need to pack. And then I had my stuff, like frisbee and
yeah.
toys and stuff on the list so that I could pack
But I
them.
think it's great because it build a new habits in your kids to prepare ahead of time. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make their own checklist right now, right?
Yeah, and my daughter does. I know my youngest does. I haven't seen my older, but my son's probably the only one that, fell off the habit and does things at the last minute. And he's ADHD, so I understand.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but my daughters, I saw my daughter. She was so funny. She was telling her husband, "You got to pack. We're going to Greece. We're leaving in a week. Get your suitcase together. What clothes are you
So
bringing?"
so you could see yourself, okay, yeah, she got me,
Yep, she's
she
got it.
learned,
She's got it. Yeah.
check.
And she goes, "Oh, it's so frustrating because he was done in 15 minutes because, he just packs the same stuff all the time."
Perfect. Well, that's awesome. So thank you so much, Marilyn, for being on my show today. I really appreciate you. It was fun conversation.
Yeah.
And if you're a mother out there and you would like to have a few tips and tricks and how to get a few more hours in your days and how to handle the conversation with your kids better, contact Marilyn because she'll be there to support you and guide you into making your life easier.
Mhm.
because
Enjoying it.
the less drama in the house, easier your life would be.
Yeah, and the kids grow up so fast, so you really do wanna prioritize spending time with them.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Marilyn. Stay there. I'll be right back with you. So thank you everyone for watching this show. I hope you get great value out of this. And again, I want to remind you, if you want to watch more of my episode, go to YouTube at Denise Belisle. And if you want to have a talk with me, you can book a time with tiny.cc/talk with Denise. And that would allow you to book a time with me. If you want to be on my show, same link. And then in the comment, when you book the appointment, say I want to talk with you about being on your show. You're welcome to. I'm always looking for other guests to be part of my show. So until next time, be kind to one another. Appreciate summer's coming soon. So enjoy your summer, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.